Like I just need you to, here's a block of data. I just need you to store this block of data. Why does that relationship have to be complicated?
Because fuck you, that's why.
That's exactly right.
All right, so I am here with Wendell from Level 1 Techs. We have now done several videos about things like the future is PCIe and about some of the other projects you've brought in. ARM, that was an interesting one. Now we're talking about how everything in your life is a subscription and it is awful.
Yes.
And also everything is in the cloud.
Yes.
And it's all remotely managed, whereas I think we have both seen the days when all of your stuff was yours.
You are going to take control of your digital future. Now, the really exciting thing is that it's been, what, 2-3 years since we did the storage server, and you have DIY managed that. That is amazing.
Sort of.
More or less.
The topic branches from what you and I are doing, for our server here, but I think for the audience, what I really want to just show people the world of is things like you can make your own router, which is a really interesting topic that a lot of people don't know you can even do, particularly because of all the exploits that keep happening, like ASUS. Before that, this video is brought to you by the Montech HSO1 and HSO2 cases. The HSO1 and HSO2 cases differ by way of a mesh front or a curved glass front. We previously reviewed these cases in our intensive benchmarking process and found them to be overall high build quality, with thermals comparable between the two designs. The rear chamber of the case uniquely brings the power supply forward and perforates the rear wall of the case, allowing for more air movement internally while providing a different look. The rear of the case uses a fan mounting mechanism for 2 separate fans that can be coupled together with a plate, improving convenience. The HSO1 and HSO2 also invert with minimal effort, allowing the computer to present to the opposite side without needing to reconfigure the entire build. Learn more at the links in the description below.
You can build your own router, and I'm reluctant to even jump to a specific software recommendation, but you can build your own router for a lot of different scenarios. Like you can have something to keep your ISP in check. There are a lot of ISPs that are mining data about what's on your local network. What sort of Internet of Things devices do you have? What media do you watch? Because on the local broadcast, when you're using certain kinds of media broadcast protocols, it's like, oh, I can see that there's a Google Play TV that's playing this media file. That's useful analytics for an ISP when they control your router. Yeah, it's also super creepy.
It's very creepy.
Our phones are listening.
Did you, were you ever involved in the days of so at least where we live, there was a period where some of the ISPs were charging per device that they could see.
Yeah.
And the way to spoof that was to put a switch, and then they would just see the switch and they couldn't see the devices. But it was that was the beginning of the end. That was when it started getting bad.
It's like, how do we monetize this? Yeah.
Right.
And more recently, using your electricity and your connection to provide a hotspot to your neighbors. It's like, oh, your neighbors can just use your Wi-Fi because you have a hardwired connection.
Do they do that now?
Yeah, but it's through the modem as opposed to...
So how does that work?
Your modem, the internet connection comes in on your modem, and part of the internet connection can split off to your local connection. Yeah. But before it's plugged into your LAN, the ISP can provide another wireless interface for your neighbors. So it doesn't let your neighbors on your network, but they're using the limited amount of bandwidth that you have from your ISP and the ISP's modem equipment that's in your house, and it's running off of your electricity.
And they just connect to you.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's, I mean, in a suburban area that might not work, where you've got space between houses, but in an apartment, that sounds like the ideal situation for them.
Well, we had some ISPs that were trying to build this is a wireless network, and so if you have our service at home and your whole neighborhood has your service, you can lean on your neighbors, and everybody has the same ISP.
That.
Then you can walk around the house and have Wi-Fi, or walk around the neighborhood and have Wi-Fi.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is good enterprise gear, but you can this is why Home Lab is more popular than ever, and expanding Home Lab to people that are professional and run your own services at home.
So let's do some things people might get excited about trying to take some ownership of, because there's been the conversation around de-Googling, right, for a while now. Same with I guess getting away from things like Netflix and YouTube and whatever else. We'll see if that one gets me banned. But there's been conversations about that. They're not going to like that. Get me started. Get me away from the bad things, Wendell.
Well, no, it is a worry, because there have been YouTubers that have done a video on Plex media server, and if you do it the wrong way, there's a strike that comes
multiple
with that.
now. This has happened to like multiple people.
Yeah. But if you have your own media and you own your own media, you can build a machine to do that. And this is AM5. This is AM5 that you would recognize, but this is more in a server format. If you lease a game server in the cloud that has a GPU, chances are this is what you have. This is an ASRock, 2U short depth rack mount computer. It has an AIO for cooling. This chassis originally was designed for Intel, so this is a little overkill with our little AM5 here. Those fans don't run super hot, but you can put Ryzen 7 or 9 in there, or AMD EPYC CPUs in an AM5
package.
Yeah. And this is a great platform for having something in the data center or even in your home lab. But if you're going to like lease space in a data center, you could get you could physically own this and pay an ISP $100 a month, let's say. And then this has, a 10 gigabit connection to the internet, and this can host all your stuff and be your private cloud.
Well, now you're talking about co-location, I guess.
Yeah, co-location. Yeah. Or you could just run it at home if you have good fiber at home. But you could also just do that on an old computer. You and I and the audience, people in the audience, can make this future come together, and that is federated services. Because right now, these are popular. Like, ASRock made this, and this costs a lot of money. Data centers are buying this, and there are people that are paying $50 or $100 a month for their own private server. And it's like, yeah, it's a subscription, but you're paying for the hardware. But to run like a Minecraft server or a Rust server or something private, and it's not just for one person, it's like for your friend group.
Right.
So why not expand that to like federated Discord? It's like messaging and everything else. I invite you to the private Discord server the same way it's a private Minecraft server or a private Rust server or a private whatever server. And all of our conversation and everything lives on there. I feel a lot better about streaming my screen there because I control the system, and nobody else is going to spy on it.
And the people who are on it, yeah. Well, even like, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, but if you're doing screen sharing of troubleshooting for someone through some services,
is this being recorded somewhere?
Where is this being saved?
Yeah.
And for how long?
There's a version of it's called Rust Desk, and it is the OG TeamViewer experience. Like if you go through the headache of setting up your own self-hosted Rust Desk, you can have the OG amazing non-enshittified TeamViewer experience, and it is glorious. It is amazing, and it's self-hosted. You control it, and that is what that gives you.
Well, and also the game servers thing is just kind of depressing to me because, like, you're talking about Minecraft servers that located them somewhere else, and it helps with griefing and whatever else. Like the depressing part to me is that when I was coming up on video games, self-hosted servers were like basically the only way to do it. There was no matchmaking for a lot of it. And this is my cloud I'm going to yell out today if anyone's wondering. But the part that was cool was like I can go Google search Battlefield 2 server company, right? And within a couple hours I can spin up some server and I can run Wake Island 24/7 if I want and whatever. And that has basically died. Like there's not a lot of games that allow that anymore, but the ones that do, I mean, I guess if you have sufficient bandwidth or something, you could self-host it. Even like Blizzard has been militantly against people reverse engineering, and it gets into the whole like, stop destroying abandoned games, like the European movement. Yeah, stop killing games. Stop killing games. Yeah. It's like I want to build my own open source backend for these servers, and it's like these companies will militantly pursue you against those kinds of things. Like, well, what if it's not on the public internet? How would you even know it's there? Yeah. That is where we're headed with self-hosting and having this sort of mesh VPN type solution. It's very dystopian, like this idea of like you're gonna have some underground like gangster organized crime server for World of Warcraft that is offline. See, actually that is part of our job, is to try to slide that. There's an Overton window aspect of that, and our job is to try to slide that back the other way. With right to repair, it's insane because if you look at like the automobile in like the 1960s and the 1970s, even up through the 1980s, would come with a repair manual. Yeah. And the repair manual is like, here's an electrical diagram. Right. Here is how everything is laid out. Here's how everything works. This is everything you need to know to be able to do the repair on your car. And then it became, there's a business incentive to keeping you in the dark as to how your car works. There's a business incentive to keeping you deprived of your property that you've paid for.
And so this is the world that we find ourselves in. And so we as citizens have to push back against that, at the ballot box and other ways, and try to fight against this sort of, it is an Overton window where it's like, okay, that seems reasonable, but then you look at it, it's like, that's not reasonable at all. It's like,
well, because it keeps moving every year, right? Yeah. So what seems reasonable now was actually not reasonable a couple of years ago.
I'm sure there's a lot of people in the audience that's like, oh, you agreed in the Blizzard terms of service that you wouldn't, build a competing back end for WoW, and that's just the nature of playing the game. And it's like, yes, and book publishers also said that when you open the book, you agree not to sell the book used, but that was also found to be illegal and actually probably against humanity. It's like a literal crime against humanity.
We've talked in the past about this, but you can create your own VPN.
Yep.
And I think that's something that's more people should be aware of, because in theory, the various VPN apps, like NordVPN or whatever it may be, in theory, that's another vector where it's like, okay, maybe your ISP isn't fully aware of what exactly is going on the other side of it, but
it'll still work. There's a Tailscale. There's video tutorials that we have on our channel for Tailscale. But even if you have one of those ISPs, you and your friends can get together and participate in kind of a mesh VPN, for lack of a better way to describe it. But you have services on your home lab stuff, and I have services on my home lab stuff, and we can share that, and our ISP can't see it, and media companies can't see it.
What about, so like VPNs you can self-host, routers you can build, and that doesn't need to be, this is one of the things I was talking to you about, where like, I think, to me what's exciting right now in the, we'll use the kind of buzzword, but the home lab space, is a lot of that equipment is becoming more like consumer affordable now.
Yeah.
Especially as it gets retired, and you look at the secondhand market for a lot of server stuff, and it's like actually really good and affordable. Yeah. So like a half rack for home or something, and doing rack mount systems for some of the things we're talking about, like maybe you have an isolated router that you build that's just a computer and a server chassis. You have an isolated media server or whatever, VPN. But some of this stuff too, like pfSense, can be just put on an ATX computer.
Yeah.
If you like retire an old computer.
Yeah, it's computers all the way down. And it doesn't have to be new. You don't have to spend a lot of money. If you're curious about it right now, you could, just go to a flea market and get a $100 computer, and that is all you need to start experimenting with home lab. That's how you get the bite, and then it's like, oh, this is nice. I like this.
Yeah. So let's talk about how everything is awful. So the things that are bad, I guess the stuff that scares me is everything turns into a subscription service.
Yep.
That's scary. Everything is controlled by centralized, typically companies.
Yep.
You can effectively lose access to something that may be important to you at any given time.
Yeah, I bought a movie on Amazon, and then Amazon's like, we're not doing that anymore. You can't. And it's like, well, what happened to the movie I bought? Oh, you didn't really buy that. That was just a long-term rental. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Well, my doors, like my door handles, for the building, I have paid thousands and thousands of dollars for special secure door knobs. And I went to go manage one of them the other day, and the app doesn't work. And I called the company, and they're like, oh yeah, we didn't want to pay the developer anymore, so we just stopped supporting it. I was like, well, what about my fucking doors? I don't care. The app worked fine, but they didn't want to pay for it. So the developer forces down an update to break it intentionally because it's not being paid for anymore. But this is the kind of stuff where it's like,
and those are not even cloud-connected doors.
They're not. They're totally isolated. And it's like, but this is where everything, Wendell, I need you to feed into my insanity here. Everything is getting worse.
Everything is getting worse because it is economic incentive for the companies that are building these things to take away your ability to run things locally. Like, it doesn't make sense to give you the flexibility to do something on your own, because then you don't have to pay. And so if you are beholden to somebody for a service that you weren't previously, it's like, okay, how much money is it going to take to make this door thing go away? It's like, if it's like a $500 one time, you're probably like, all right, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I would definitely pay $500.
Yeah. So,
but that's not what they want.
Yeah.
What they want is money every month.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
So, but that's the kind of thing that like Lewis lately has been doing these various, I don't know what you call them, like bounty campaigns.
Yep.
Of hiring out the ability for people to regain access to services that have been discontinued
Yep.
so that products can continue to be used. I looked into that a little bit after he was talking about it, and it looks like there's like this whole mini industry around that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I would just think, like, even in much simpler terms, the cost of storage. The cost of storage, like, go buy a hard drive that has a certain capacity. How many, dollars per terabyte are you paying for storage? Plot that on a graph. Look at how much Amazon S3 storage. Plot that on a graph. The cost of S3 storage is not changing anywhere near as rapidly as the cost of actually storing things. That seems weird. That seems like maybe they're taking advantage of the relationship that they have with people that are using those services. And that's just
they wouldn't
storage.
do that.
That's just storage. Everything else is more complicated. And it's like there's more nuance, and like your doorknobs, and it's like, what's going on here? But it's like, I just need you to, here's a block of data. I just need you to store this block of data. Why does that relationship have to be complicated?
Because fuck you, that's why.
That's exactly right. And the value proposition of what companies are offering is so out of whack. The profit margins are so insane that it literally makes more sense for people to buy stuff like this and do it themselves.
Well, and especially if you start looking at the monthly cost of external storage or something versus, trying to put the money together to buy it once and then own it. But I think, if I'm an end user, but Wendell, if I'm paying Google every month to store my various documents, I can access it anywhere.
You can access it anywhere with the appropriate VPN and software setup. The infrastructure for that is the internet was designed to do that. That was the old knowledge, like we forgot how to do that.
Yeah.
And so now that knowledge is being rediscovered because there is a business need to do it. And that is part of like 45 drives. They're doing this Tornado now. It's like, 45 drives, we just do storage appliances. It's like, no, we need more compute. We need more smarts. We're combining intelligence with storage, and that unlocks that kind of thing for businesses the way that it needs to be unlocked for individuals. So really the only thing that's holding us back is good, clean software.
So if someone wanted to just retake control over something like cloud storage, they have some family photos or whatever that they want to give access to their family to, and they store it somewhere. If they don't want to pay for that through some service and they want to self-host it, for an enthusiast like in our audience, how difficult is that really to get a relatively secure, good storage server in place?
It is absurdly easy. Like the answer changes every year a little bit. But right now the current answer is if you were to deploy something like Nextcloud, but you don't put Nextcloud naked on the internet. See, the big thing here is like you put something naked on the internet and it'll work for a while, but it needs a little care and feeding.
Okay.
The trick is not to put it naked on the internet.
It's getting weirder with the feeding thing, but continue. I'll see where this goes.
The idea is you would lock it down to your family. You want to control how you share stuff. And so like Tailscale is built on WireGuard, which is an open source thing, and I did some videos on it, and I've interviewed those guys. I use it, and I like it, and I like where they're going with it. And with Tailscale, you can spin up a Nextcloud server, and then I can share a link with you that's like, here's my Nextcloud server. Nextcloud has its own username and password system, so I can say, here's the username and password, but that is not naked on the internet. You only have access to that through the Tailscale service.
Okay.
And it's free. There is a subscription option, but most people don't need it. But because it's also built on WireGuard, if you have a gearhead that wants to do it, then like DIY solution, you can DIY a solution. But that also sort of prevents the service from becoming enshittified, to use Cory Doctorow's word.
Right. So then if you do an approach like that, if you then want to share access to me, to someone else, am I going through an application typically to access that? Am I typing an IP address in a browser?
You would have the Tailscale application, and then it looks like an IP address in the browser, but it's only available to you because you're on a VPN, essentially.
Got it.
It's basically a VPN that is made really easy to share access and control and limit access in a sort of a noob or non-technical person sort of friendly way. You can also step it up a notch. So like if you get a storage appliance and I get a storage appliance, the software is becoming so sophisticated. This is not through Tailscale, but the ecosystem of software that's open source and otherwise that's available. I can say, here is my encrypted backup. You can't access it, but I'm going to give you 10 terabytes of space on my system. You give me 10 terabytes of space on your system.
So working with a friend offsite, so you both have an offsite backup
Exactly.
of each other's stuff. That's cool. Yeah.
And you can't access my stuff, and I can't access your stuff
Right.
to the tune of AES 256.
Okay.
Which Bruce Schneier has some amazing quotes about how much computation is required to brute force AES 256.
That's pretty cool though. So then you're remote backing up without using some like Backblaze or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. All right. On the hardware side, so just to drill down on this I thought was pretty interesting. I don't get to work with hardware like this a lot, but if we can run through some of the more interesting physical hardware elements.
Yeah, so with storage appliances, if you look at like what Dell Enterprise and HP are doing, they want to lock you into an ecosystem. Like this is a standard ATX motherboard. These are Broadcom, tri-mode adapters. The tri-mode adapters, what they do for you is let you use SATA, SAS, or NVMe.
Is that the Tri, I guess?
Yep.
Okay.
So any kind of disk that you have, they've got a power plane here. They did their own engineering to make this as simple and uncomplicated as possible. They're trying to build something that is open and standards compliant and not proprietary in any way. This power supply setup here is not proprietary either. I mean, it might look like it's something special, but this is pretty standard in server grade stuff. And like this is a standard power supply module. So, and it's redundant. And so if something, like if I need to replace the motherboard in this, no problem.
Right.
Put whatever I want. This is AMD Sienna, and this is a 6 memory channel platform, and this is 64 cores. And so this is a ridiculous amount of compute horsepower. You don't need this much compute horsepower in a server that only does storage. But if you start layering on VPN services and access control and virtualization, sometimes it's called hyperconvergence in the virtualization thing, then this looks a lot like the home lab workloads that we're describing, but this is actually the solution for small, medium businesses.
Right.
You get 2 or 3 of these, they work together as a unit inside one business, and then if one dies, it doesn't matter.
Right, okay. Other than the cost of replacing it, but yes.
Other than the cost of replacement. But when they're working together in a cluster, you get that 2x or 3x. So you're not really paying extra for redundancy. You're using all the capacity. It's just that it's standards based and open. I just like that this is based on standard components. Like nobody is trying to lock me into anything. If I want to go completely off script and like shove an AM5 in here,
Right.
I could do that. I'll run out of PCIe lanes real quick, but I could do that.
Yeah, there's no proprietary bullshit in it.
Yeah. It is without external and torturous interference from corporations. That is what this human culture is like. Look at this cool thing that I found. Let's discuss this. Let's make notes. Like my book server, I have notes in my book server on my self-hosted thing, and that alone is worth the price of admission because it's like I'll read a book and I'll make notes. Obsidian, and like for notes, like we've done some videos on Obsidian, like you can build your whole, Zettelkasten knowledge system in a thing, and it's yours, you own it, and nobody's ever going to rug pull.
Right.
That's the important thing.
Yes, the rug pulls are real.
Getting real tired of those.
That's the enshittification.
Yeah.
That's the future of the world, unfortunately.
But think about how hardened the conglomeration is of hundreds or thousands of us running our own infrastructure privately. So it's going to be resistant to a lot of chicanery.
Well, and I think on the cost side, as we've been talking about, this doesn't. No one needs to do this for a end user home
lab,
scenario.
no, yeah.
The cost is low for a lot of it because you can take retired computers that are just out of service and run them out of the Dell or
That
HP
is where you
box.
should start. If it's like, I could run Nextcloud and share my own pictures with my family, start with an old crappy computer.
I think where people probably run into the biggest limitations, maybe similar to Linux, where it's like, okay, slight knowledge barrier to entry, our audience can handle that, but then it just rapidly becomes like accessibility, and can I successfully educate people I care about how to use this thing?
Yep.
That's always the problem, and unfortunately the odds are against you in terms of large corporations are extremely good at designing something that is very easy to put money into.
It's moving fast, and it's better than it's ever been, and open source projects like Nextcloud are bridging the gap there.
That's cool, yeah. So that'll be it for this discussion, and hopefully that has inspired some people to go explore a couple of options for self-hosting things. We're going to be doing more of that here, so we'll have our own videos up, but he's also going to have one on Level1 Techs of the server room makeover.
And if you're watching this 3 or 4 years in the future, chances are you can get this as surplus for pennies on the dollar.
Or we're sorry. Subscribe for more. Check out Level 1 Techs in the description below. We'll see you all next time.